welcome. We are in October, and as many artists know, this is the month for art challenge. There are art challenges for almost every month of the year, but I don't think any is as popular as Inktober. Now, there's a little bit of controversy around Inktober, therefore, I'm just going to call it Drawtober. I'm going to use the same prompt list and I'm going to try to draw every day, which I did for the past week. And this is what we are going to do today. We are going to look at the past week, at the 7 pieces I've drawn, and talk a little bit about them. Day 1 prompt was backpack, and the prompt is so vague I had no idea what to draw. I was thinking of a trail, I was thinking of a travel, and these things are already present in the list, so I didn't want to do that. Therefore, I drew something just related to the backpack. I also thought about experimenting with poses and storytelling in this Drawtober. Therefore, I tried to make a scene where a girl is just being a menace to the world, and that backpack just adds to the idea that she's doing something either important or dangerous. As you can see, I actually wanted to make her in a park at first. I didn't like that, therefore I moved it in a train to fit a bit more the dynamic vibe. And then at the end I added a second character, or the illusion of a second character, to add tension that something is happening. Pretty happy with this one, let's move on. Day 2 is discovery, and this one was pretty straightforward for me. I wanted something to feel dangerous at first. I made this cave looking place, I added a character, and I tried really hard to make a monster or beast or something in the background. I couldn't do that in a way that I was happy with. I didn't want to spend more than 20-30 minutes on each piece, therefore I moved on from that and I added some little cute mushroom thingies that are glowing in the dark, only to have something feel like a real discovery for the person. Adding that to the entire cave in the background, I think really pulled it all together, and I liked it so far. Day 3 was boots, not shoes, how I said in my social media post. Boots is a pretty interesting prompt to talk about because it's again very basic. At first I wanted to think maybe I can draw a kid in the boots of their parents, something cute like that, but then I was thinking about my childhood, and then I realized as a kid I needed to have shoes made especially for my feet. Well, that's the prompt. I made the person that was making my shoes because I always was fascinated by this middle-aged man with his apron, and that's for him. I really like how this came out. It's a scene, and that's what I'm trying to do the most. And it's also pretty much out of my comfort zone. I don't really draw middle-aged men, so yeah, I think this one is pretty cool. Day 4 is exotic, and I actually struggled with this. I was very much close to drop this prompt, but then I challenged myself because not every prompt is going to be perfect, but it's a good way to exercise your creativity and to not draw all the time what you immediately think of. I actually asked my mother, what do you think of when you hear the word exotic? And she said a beach, a palm tree, she said a drink, maybe a coconut drink. I added the 2 characters in the background to add a little bit story elements, which you can't really see in the final, but at the same time you see it a little bit. Not my favorite prompt, not my favorite picture, but I think it's alright, and every day it's about experimenting and learning, and it's not about being perfect. Day 5 is binoculars, and I tried so hard to find a concept for this in the day I was drawing. I didn't like it at all. I didn't feel inspired by it at all. At first I wanted to draw again a older looking man because that's something I don't usually draw. I actually had this very cool idea of a fairy looking at the binoculars, so I tried to make the scene from the fairy perspective, and I think that's really cool. I think I managed to frame it pretty nicely without spending too much time on it. I know it could be better. I think it's really cool already. Day 6 is trek. I didn't know what initially meant, but it's a journey usually made by foot. And I made this simple looking scene with a crossroad of a person that's walking by foot. They have a backpack, they need to choose a direction. I try to keep in mind the composition here, mostly the almost symmetrical but not really composition. I added the birds, which I actually think is my favorite part of this drawing because it makes it look alive, and at the same time it makes it look a little bit mysterious, because birds don't just fly. A lot of times you see this kind of position of the bird when something moved them out of the forest. That was my thought process. I think that's pretty cool, if I can say so myself, and it's not my favorites, but it's also not bad. I like it. Day 7 is passport, and I could go in so many ways. I like these vague prompts because they give you freedom, but at the same time they're so annoying because they don't give you any direction to actually take off, so you need a little bit of time to think about. I didn't want that. I want to go with my first thought. I want to create a scene with my first thought, and that was a funny little scene at an airport pass thing. The guy in the picture needed to make the passport really quick, but the night before taking the picture he had a insane party that made him go all out in all the places and all the styles, and that's just how it happened to have the passport. I thought that story behind it's funny. I don't think it's that clear in the picture, and I admit it could be understood wrong, but that's not my intention whatsoever. So again, not my favorites, not my best. This concludes the first week of Drawtober. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're staying up with me on social media as I post daily. On Patreon I'm posting each day with each video attached if you want to have them individually. And I hope you'll stay tuned for next week when I'm going to do days 8 to 14. Thank you. See you next time. Bye bye.